Just moments after diplomacy wrapped up, pressure snapped back into place. As indirect talks between the United States and Iran concluded in Oman, Washington moved fast, announcing a fresh round of sanctions aimed squarely at Iran's oil lifeline. 14 vessels, 15 entities, 2 individuals, all targeted as part of what the Trump administration calls its renewed maximum pressure campaign. The U.S. State Department says Iran's oil revenues are being used to fund destabilizing activities abroad and to intensify repression at home. President Donald Trump, officials say, is determined to choke off what Washington calls Iran's illicit oil and petrochemical exports, no matter where those shipments travel. Among the vessels now sanctioned, ships flagged from Turkey, India, and the United Arab Emirates, all accused of transporting Iranian oil. The move comes despite what Iran's foreign minister described as a positive atmosphere during talks with senior U.S. envoys focused on Tehran's nuclear program. It's a sharp reminder of the reality behind the dialogue. Since Trump's first term, the United States has worked to force all countries to stop buying Iranian oil, and this latest action signals that strategy is accelerating, not easing. The timing is striking. The sanctions were announced as Iran continues to face international scrutiny over its violent crackdown on protests, some of the largest since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. And as President Trump has openly warned that military options remain on the table, the U.S. has also increased its military presence near Iran's shores. Talks on one track, sanctions on the other. For Tehran, the message from Washington is unmistakable. Negotiations may continue, but pressure will not pause.
I'm in Muscat, Oman, where Iran and the United States held indirect talks today over Tehran's nuclear program. And broadly speaking, it felt like Back to the Future. The Iranians and the Americans are now again talking about how to have talks. And this is sort of what we saw last year when Steve Witkoff, the U.S. Special Envoy, and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi first started negotiations over Iran's program. Now, those negotiations broke down after Israel launched a 12-day war against Iran back in June that saw the Americans also bomb Iranian nuclear sites. This time, something is different in these talks, though, held in the Omani capital. The United States brought its top military commander for the Middle East. U.S. Navy Admiral Brad Cooper sat in on the talks in his dress uniform. He was the physical representation of the USS Abraham Lincoln. That U.S. aircraft carrier is in the Arabian Sea off the coast of Iran and has the firepower necessary to carry out U.S. President Donald Trump's threats to potentially attack Iran if it doesn't reach a deal, or if it kills peaceful protesters, or puts detainees to mass executions, as they have warned they may do after those nationwide protests shook Iran. So all this together, while we did hear from the Iranians saying that these talks were positive, and while we did hear from the Omanis saying that these talks were moving in the right direction, there's a lot still to be done to even get close to a deal, and it just remains unclear how much time remains on the clock.
Overall, I can say that it was a good start, but its continuation is contingent upon us in the so-called capitals to hold consultations and regarding how to proceed to make a decision. What I'm conveying is that concerning the very essence of its continuation, there was nearly a unanimous agreement, and it was resolved that it should indeed proceed. However, its precise timing, the specific modalities, and the exact date for these matters will be decided, God willing, during the upcoming consultations that Mr. Al-Borsaidi will facilitate.
Even as Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, on Friday described the atmosphere of talks with the United States as positive, with the two sides agreeing to proceed with negotiations. A senior Iranian cleric has outrightly rejected global calls asking Tehran to suspend its nuclear program. Senior Iranian cleric Ahmad Khatami has declared that Iran did not seek nuclear energy to build an atomic bomb and was not afraid of the United States. Khatami said that Tehran's opposition to nuclear weapons was based on religious principles, adding that the country would not give up its nuclear program. The cleric's refusal to suspend nuclear weapons comes on the day Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, in Oman's capital, Muscat. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said talks with the United States had a good start after several rounds of meetings, adding that further progress would depend on consultations in the capitals. Araghchi added that Iran's views and concerns were conveyed in a very good atmosphere. However, the Iranian minister said that the continuation of talks depended on consultations in the capitals.
If this very same process and this very same perspective continues on, what is referred to as the other side, we will be able to reach in our upcoming meetings an agreed upon framework for these ongoing discussions and concerning the matters that are currently being addressed. However, I do not wish to make any judgments at this point in time. I believe it was a good start and it has the potential to continue positively, but it depends on the other party, and naturally it also depends on the decisions that will be made in Tehran.
According to Axios, another round of talks between Washington and Tehran is expected to take place in the next 13 days. Trump has repeatedly indicated he could use military force if Iran did not stop mass executions or agree to a nuclear deal.
And on Iran, sir, can you say what your threshold for military action is?
Well, I can't tell you what I'm going to do because right now, we have a tremendous force going there, just like we did in Venezuela, even bigger. And they'll be there soon. And I'd like to see a deal negotiated. I don't know that that's going to happen. But, I mean, if I knew I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't tell you. I'd be very foolish if I would tell you. But right now we're talking to them. We're talking to Iran. And if we could work something out, that'd be great. And if we can't, probably bad things would happen.